are you to doubt El Dandy?
This is Robbie Eagles.
This is the loosest in Australian wrestling, Adam Brooks.
Hi, this is Mimic. This is 5 times the world's heavyweight champion, the Scrap Daddy himself, Scrap Iron Adam Pearce.
This is Brian Alvarez, and you are listening to Wrestle Radio Australia.
Welcome to the show, folks. My name is Josh Armour, and thanks very much for downloading Wrestle Radio Australia. This is our first episode.
Oh, yeah! G'day, this is Big Brody Marshall.
This is Brian Alvarez.
This is Dean Brady of the Millennials.
This is the Jurassic Punk Sid Parker.
How many of you guys have heard the term kayfabe?
Hello, doggers. This is Jay Hunter from OSW Review.
This is Matt Grim Basso.
This is the loosest in Australian wrestling, Adam Brooks.
This is Scrap Iron Adam Pearce, and you are locked in
to Wrestle Radio Australia.
I in the game, I'm champion, I'm Triple H. Undertaker, I'm your maker, bury the brother like Kane. Ooh, 1-3, hit the tombstone, hit the choke slam on face. Ooh, yeah, like a macho heel, turn like a muscle. If you suffer like tomatoes, I'ma keep a couple models. Ooh, and you may call me HBK. When I'm tuning up the vein, you best be getting in my way. Ooh, yeah, I'm degenerate, I love it, yes, I love it. If you ain't down with that, then I got two is what you suck it. Too sweet, put your fangs up. Too sweet, hold another cup. Let's be busy, 23, got me feeling way too sweet.
I was trying to make chicken salad out of chicken shit, and it was just awful.
I've turned chicken salad into chicken shit. I will continue to do so.
Here I was, blaming AEW for feeding you chicken shit, knowing you mindless millennials would be eating it up as if it were chicken salad, when it's really been your fault all along.
Make chicken salad out of chicken shit. People is as people does, that's all there is to it. But a square peg in a round hole just never seems to fit.
This is Bianca Belair.
Hey, this is Kevin Owens.
Hey, it's Seth freaking Rollins.
It is the man, Becky Lynch.
It's Rhea Ripley here, and you're listening to Wrestle Radio Australia.
Good evening and welcome to Wrestle Radio Australia, or good morning if you're listening to us on the podcast. You can always catch us on Twitch TV /Wrestle Radio Australia. I am your host, Lachlan Albert. And with me, as always...
No, you're not. You're not Lachlan.
Oh, I was on a roll. Okay, I'm your host, Jeff Setti. Lachlan Albert has decided he'd rather spend the week with a few kids than with us. That's what it seems like to me, anyway. And with me, as always, is some guy over there. He's a commentator. He's a wrestler. He's a manager. He's a producer. He's a booker. He's done it all. If Australia had a Paul Heyman, it would be this bloke. Welcome. Todd Eastman. How you going, mate?
If anyone actually saw me work, they'd know I wasn't a wrestler. So
I saw the match. It wasn't that bad.
Oh dear.
I'm staying very, very neutral. We have a packed show tonight. We really do. There were 3 events plus a debut on Monday that, unanimously has received high acclaim from wrestling fans and critics and pretty much everybody. So we've got a lot to get through. So we're going to crack on with it. Of course, the first event to talk about was Friday night. It was PWA King of the Metro. We'll give our overall thoughts after we talk about the show. I think that makes more sense. So first up, we had winner into the King of the Metro Rumble match. Big Fudge defeating Ricky South with Backman. What did you think of this one, Todd?
I thought it was a nice little way to sort of tie up the whole Fudge and Ricky South thing, and also having him wrestle half the match without the mask on was a really nice touch as well, because it sort of like made it that little bit more personal. It was already a personal sort of a grudge if you've been following along, but that just made it a little bit more personal. Then the little touch at the end where he told everyone shh, and then put the mask back on. I thought it was just really nice. Once again, Ricky South, great worker, and backs it up the next night. So we'll talk about that. We'll talk about that later. But just a great work, and it was a good way to not have both of them in the Rumble, but then also be able to tell this story and sort of expand it a bit more.
Do you think that's it? Do you think that closes this chapter of Fudge and Ricky, or do you think it's going to be revisited through time?
I would think so, because I don't see how they could go back to it. Fudge has got his revenge now.
Yeah.
Fudge has done everything he had to do, sort of thing. So unless like Ricky would attack him again, and like, what's he going to do? Like, steal his mask and burn it? I mean, he can't really see him doing more than what he's already done to him.
Look, I pretty much agree with you. I really enjoyed this. I thought, and I say this a lot, but I thought it was a nice way to get the crowd in the building and get them engaged with wrestling. Fudge is such a tremendous character. Like the way he clambers over the top rope, you know, the choke slam. He's taking a bit from the Hurricane. He's taking a bit from, you know, obviously some of the Shikara stuff. But the great thing about Fudge and Ricky is they just have chemistry. They really have a nice chemistry. And I think that, you know, this has been going on for 18 months. This has been going on for a fair while, and it never got dull. And if this is the end of that feud for the time being, I thought it was terrific. I thought it was a great way to finish it and a really, really nice match to finish on. Backman played his part perfectly as kind of the corner man and things like that. So I thought that was great. From there, we moved on to the PWA Tag Team title, a Sydney street fight, as opposed to just a street fight. It had to be in Sydney.
It's in Sydney. It was like the WWE. Every time they're in someone's town, it's like the Brisbane Street Brawl or the, you know what I mean?
Philadelphia street fights. You know, there you go. The PWA Tag Team title, Sydney street fight. Aaron Jake and Belle Pierce, new champions, defeat the Joker and the Thief of Jimmy Townsend and Nick Moretti. A title change there. I thought this was a lot of fun. I thought this was a really, really fun match. And Aaron Jake and Belle Pierce have bonded as a team surprisingly quickly and moved on from SMS very quickly. Like, obviously, it looks like Jordan's out for a while. And that's a shame because I like Jordan a lot. And hopefully he gets better and comes back at some point. But I thought this was a really nice title change. I think Townsend and Moretti were a great team, and I think it's really nice that it's gone to these guys.
Yeah, it would I'd be lying if I didn't say there was an upset because I didn't see this happening at all. And as much as I do like Jordan, I think almost the best thing that could have happened to Aaron Jake and Belle Pierce was him getting injured. Unfortunately for him, of course, because they've really stepped out of the shadow of Jordan. Because Jordan does cast a hell of a shadow as that character, because that character is so very strong. So it's hard to step out of that character, like step forward next to that character when you're someone who's with him, trying to be brought up by him. So like just the way we've seen Aaron Jake and even Belle Pierce come out of their shell over the last couple of shows that we've seen is really good to see. And like, it was one of those things where like I was shocked at the change, but I wasn't unhappy with the change. I'm like, this could be really good for these two. This could be really something that they need. Like Mick and Jimmy don't really need those titles.
Exactly what I was about to say.
Whereas I think Belle and Jake could really flourish under being able to now defend those titles against other teams in PWA.
And I think that there's Moretti and Townsend almost have something else on the boil. Like they've added Cherry Stevens, which we'll talk about soon. They've added Cherry. And I think that makes it even more interesting because it almost throws back to the Velocities days. Not the Velocities, the Prefects days. Because, of course, Cherry came up through the Prefects. I think this was a terrific title change. And the one thing I will say about it, to PWA's credit, is it was at the perfect time. It was at the perfect time. And great calls through the entire night by the announcers. The announcers called these matches so well. Gail and Rosie are the best announced team in Australia without like it's there's a distance between everybody. And now everyone's going to be after.
It doesn't hurt that they've been doing it now for like X amount of years together. So they've got that chemistry down. It's really good. And also when like they had Jordan with them, they were able to bring people in and accept them as well. Like I said on our X, they are, in my opinion, they are the best commentary team in Australia. And that's by a distance, I think, too.
I would agree with that. And interestingly enough, they used to have a podcast as well. the Off the Top Rope podcast. I know that because I guested on that podcast before we went to Sydney the first time with the show. But just great guys, just really, really lovely guys to work with, lovely guys to spend time with. But they called the matches really, really well. And it was a 4-match card. Like, I've got to emphasize 4 matches, but it was great. It was great. We then had a quick a break, actually, which was... Oh, no, we didn't. We actually had a great match. Jessica Troy defeating
Was it the
Delta.
break before? No. There might have been a break before.
After. I think they let the hour-long King of the Rumble match, sort of King of the Metro.
Oh, yeah, it was too. Sorry, I for some reason I thought they maybe had the break to clean the ring up because it was a mess after it.
No, they played a couple of videos, I think, while the ring was being...
I will say too,
4 points.
we need to sort of like, somebody needs to get out there and start making custom tables for wrestling shows because those doors are very hard to break. They're very hard to break.
Yes, they are. Yes, they are. So, yeah, what did you think of Jess Troy and Delta?
Oh, this was match of the night by an easy way. This is one of those things where like we always talk, we always talk, and I say we, I mean the collective we, of women's wrestling and like this is blah blah, best women's wrestling match, blah. This was one of the best wrestling matches in Australia this year so far because they did so much stuff well. They worked to each other's strengths. Like Jess sold well for Delta's strengths. They did the little tease with the referee taking the bump, and you didn't quite know what was going to happen because it's happened before in Jess's matches. Maybe there's going to be something like a Ketis might come out or something like that, and they teased it, but it didn't happen because these two were like it was a fair fight between the two. I thought it was really, really good.
I agree completely. I think, I mean, you know, we speak volumes about Jess Troy. We really do. And Delta is one of the best acts in the country. I got teared up, to be honest. I actually got teared up. The hug afterwards just got to me because it's the realization that we are in the last week or so of Delta in Australia for now. And it's a beautiful feeling. And it's also a really sad feeling because, and to be a little bit self-indulgent, because why the fuck not? My time on this podcast began as Delta really kicked off. So it began almost 2 years ago, and that's when Delta really started to capture things. So I feel like, you know, and also bumping in and having a lovely conversation with Delta a few months ago, really, like, it warms me a lot. I'm going to miss Delta. I'm going to miss watching Delta wrestle in person, you know, and have that opportunity. But hey, you know, wherever she winds up, she's going to be a star. Wherever.
And also, like, speaking like as a whole thing, like some cards or some promotions are really going to miss her presence on those shows, just because of I think I even wrote on our Wrestle Radio X, like. She has just a presence about her when she comes to the ring that very few people have. So I think that they're going to miss that. Like certain promotions are going to miss that because they're going to have to find someone to try and not so much fill that gap, but try and like fill that gap. If you know what I mean. Yeah. Like you won't be able to fill it, but somewhat make up for the fact that she's missing.
I remember a conversation with one of the owners of MCW who there was a show a couple of years ago. I can't remember which one, but it was similar to last month, not Brawl, but the month before, where all the heels were beating up the faces and everyone like ran out and the entire crowd was yelling for Delta, 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 Delta. And she didn't come out. And as I was leaving, this person said to me, I should have put Delta out there, shouldn't I? And I went, oh yeah. And it was the same, and I think I said it at the time. It was the same kind of feeling. Now, the crowd were very pro Jess Troy in this match, and you know, Delta had a couple of moments of being a heel, but nothing serious. But what a fantastic match! What a just a brilliant match, top to bottom. Yeah, I agree with you.
I enjoyed it. It was like nearly 18 minutes, but it didn't feel like that.
No, it felt like
I actually thought it was a really quick match until I looked at the cage match times. I'm like, oh shit, they went 18 minutes. Jeez. The one thing that did annoy me, and this is even in the match, is that because I was watching it on Fight through my I was in this room. I was in the podcast room doing some work, so I had it up on my TV, and I had the chat going for Triller.
Oh,
and there was. Yeah, well, I turned it off after a while. I gave somebody a serve and then I turned it off. There was literally somebody in there called We Hate Troy, and was just like the whole way just play. And I was just like, who is we? Because no one else in this chat doesn't like. Everyone else actually thinks she's great. You're over here like pretending like it's AEW or WWE. She's burying this guy. She's burying that guy. It's not her. She's not the one booking the show, bro. I hate to break it to you.
No, and the bookers in Sydney are doing a great job. They really are.
Yes.
A great job.
So, I actually got a message. I actually got a message from one of the bookers at about 11:30 or 12 that night, because I put up a tweet halfway through it saying the first half of this show went really, really quick. And all I got was a message from him going like this, like, I don't know how to time a show, mate. Like that. I was like, fair call.
We then moved to the King of the Rumble match. Are we ready? Give me a minute. Charlie Chet Evans defeated Backman, Ben Braxton, Big Fudge, Billy Preston, Cherry Stevens, Cosmo Cooper, Dan Archer, David Streamer, Everett Connors, Frankie B, Harry Singh, Jack Bonza, Jude the Dude London, Kai Drake, Kingsley, Lockie McIntyre, Michael Spencer, Nikki Van Blair, Paris De Silva, Reese Angel, Sam Osborne, Scott Green, Shay Cassidy, The Tuckman, Tony Sin, Ty Thayer, Vinnie Bronson, Will Keatis, and Xander Sullivan. I think, thank you. I think, despite being a bit of a foregone conclusion, like most people expected Chevs to win this, it was a very popular decision, and B, a really well-paced and well-run Rumble. Ben Braxton looked incredible, coming second, and there was no real dead spots. There were no spots where I was like, okay, who's next? I was engaged by it the whole time.
See, I thought this was okay Rumble, and then like I thought the night after was a lot better, like a lot better pace. Probably because they had less people in it, so it was a bit more. But the one thing I will say with like the pacing of this thing, where I think I'm not going to say they went wrong, but I didn't like about it, is that a lot of some of the times in this thing, they would do something big while somebody else was having their entrance.
Yes, that I do agree with.
It sort of like took away, like, and I'm going to admit now that for me, one of these things is a bit of biased, because like Xander Sullivan's one of my kids.
Yeah,
like, I love the directions he's going now with the whole like the third eye and the whole conspiracy theory gimmick. I love it. He had his entrance. He didn't really get to do anything, and the crowd didn't really see him doing anything because it went straight to the Velocities with their spot.
Yeah.
While the entrance. And then there was another entrance later on where, as they were coming out, that's when Big Fudge threw out Bonza.
Mm.
So it was both during both entrances so that person never really gets a chance. Like in Rumbles, typically, every entrant gets about 30 seconds, not even that, to shine. When they first come in, bump, show a bit of something, one of your signature moves, bang, then you're back into the mix. And then feeds to a spot or something like that. I felt like these two things sort of took away from those two people's spots, unfortunately. And for guys that don't really get a chance to shine in any other way normally.
Yeah, I mean, but to counter that, and I know that he's very much a favourite of mine personally, Dan Archer looked amazing.
Yes.
Archer just looked phenomenal. And so did Ben Braxton. And they're two guys I've firmly got my eye on. Like, I used to say that Ben Braxton was the future.
Wasn't Luke Watts supposed to be in? Wasn't Luke Watts supposed to be in this as well? But Lockie maybe he got injured or something. I don't know.
Oh, no. Well, he wrestled somewhere. I can't quite remember. But Look, I did enjoy this a little bit more than you, but I can understand your complaints. I am very, very interested in where they're going with the velocities. I mean, that was clearly a major talking point. Someone's just said Luke Watts was busy with work, so Vinnie Bronson went instead. And Vinnie did a good job.
Of course he did.
He's a good character. Like Cameron's got great stuff coming up and really, really interesting, but we'll come to that a bit later. But obviously the major talking point coming out of this is the issue between Jude London and Paris de Silva. What did you think of that, Todd?
I know that they've sort of little bit been teasing it, but it still felt very much out of nowhere. And it felt like a weird spot to do it. Like if you were going to do the big break sort of thing, if that's what this is, doing it during the Rumble is a bit like it gets lost in stuff that happens during this Rumble. Like coming out of it, the first thing we're not talking about is the velocity splitting up. We're talking about Chevs.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we forgot to mention too that when Jessica won her match, she got entered into the Coliseum. And then she also said that during Coliseum, every one of her matches, she will be defending the PWA title.
Which is great.
So, yeah.
And so I guess Chevs is also in Coliseum because she's main eventing on the first night of Coliseum for the PWA heavyweight title. So that'll be really interesting. That will be very interesting. What a great idea. I like the split, but I think they need to ice it with a tag match. So I think...
Yeah, I think that's what it was. And do you know what? It makes me worry but not worry because like I really thought that these guys were maybe in line with getting a Super Juniors spot coming up, cool. like in the tags. Cool. But it's kind of, you know what I mean? Like I think even Robbie commented on it, like made the
on his disappointment.
On X. So like, guys, you need to get it together if you ever wanted to get a spot in the juniors.
Yeah.
Like I know that's storyline, but still, yeah. That's my only thing, and it's me probably overthinking stuff, and because that's what I do.
So what did you think of PWA King of the Metro?
Overall, it was a really good show. Like the first half went really good and was really like everything hit. Like the fudge match hit, the tag match hit, the title match hit with Delta. Like it all hit really well. I think an hour for a Rumble is always going to be big. Always going to be long. And it just felt like there were good spots in it, but it just, I don't know. I don't know how to really describe it. Like I didn't hate it, but it just wasn't one of those things where like, that was a really good Rumble. It was like, I just didn't hate it.
I think I liked it more than you.
Overall, the show was great. And I like the spot at the end with like Jess coming out and they're doing their little face off and the hug and all of that good stuff. And now we've got 2 entrances to the Coliseum too.
Yeah.
So they're already starting the building blocks for that, which is good.
I think that it was a great show. It was good seeing some people like Hari Singh. What a talent! Like I did not know that guy. But it was really, really good. It was wonderful seeing Nikki. Some of the character work was good in there. David Streamer is he a face now?
I don't know. That's the confusing thing. Yeah.
It's a bit weird, but I really, really liked it. I thought it was a terrific show. Followed up the following night on Saturday night, round the corner from me at the Thornbury Theatre, MCW held their annual Ballroom Brawl. It opened with an MCW Intercommonwealth Championship match. Robbie Thorpe defeated Delta, a title change. What did you think of this, Todd? What did you think of, firstly, the match and also the title change?
I mean, like, we all knew it sort of had to happen because you weren't just going to strip her of the title and she wasn't just going to vacate it. So the way they did it was to have Rocky come out and do a quick 3 count, which, while being cool, there's no comeuppance for these guys for that. Like, do you know what I mean? There's not going to be like Delta can't be on a run now for a title back because she ain't coming back. That's the only iffy thing about it. It was a nice little opener for what they did. I think maybe they spent a little bit too long outside at the start. Like there was a lot of setting up for things where kind of made like there was a spot where Delta was feeding like Thorpe around for people in the crowd to chop him.
Yeah, it was a bit long.
And I felt that it took ages for them to get up and chop. And like if you're going to do it once or twice. Don't do it like 3 or 4 times because invariably like you got to think eventually the guy's going to be like, would you get off me? It's not like it's different if it's me out there getting chopped. Like I did it with Istria. And me, I'm just a punk manager, so of course he can take me for a walk around Texas and let everyone hold me while he chops me and chop me and all that sort of good happy horseshit because it's fine as me. I shouldn't be able to come back. But someone who's like 6'5" and is Robbie Thorpe should be able to, after a certain amount of time, just go, fuck off me. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree.
I like the bit about the maybe he could have chopped her first on the pole and then the second time missed. I think the double one sort of made him look a little bit silly again. But it all fed into what the finish was going to be in the end.
Yeah, look, I liked this. I thought this was good. It's a really nice way to get the belt off Delta before she goes overseas to wherever she's going. I mean, we want excellence, but it depends on where she winds up. I did enjoy this. I did think it was a nice finish. Like Rocky coming out and being obviously biased towards Robbie was great. We knew he was going to be. It was silly fun, but I agree with you. At least Delta got some kind of comeuppance towards the end of the night, which again we'll come back with.
Yeah.
The second match was Ricky South back at MCW for the first time in a long time, defeating Mikey Broderick, Squat God Broderick, as most see him. What did you think of this one? Big meaty man.
It was a great fucking match.
I
love Ricky's work. I love Ricky's work in this new gimmick. I say gimmick, but it's not really new. It's just a twist of the old gimmicks, a more harder edge, serious sort of Ricky South. I love this version of Ricky. I think it's great. And Broderick again, like it still wows me to watch him come out at MCW after he's come out at Slam, being that character, then coming out in MCW and just being a totally sort of different character. So good, and to be so elite at both of those like characters is just great.
Well, I mean, the Mikey Broderick at Slam is a member of TMDK. So, we're definitely going to get some heel shenanigans from him here. I agree. I think the example is, firstly, the example. What a great name for a heel. The example, Ricky South. I always wanted him to change his name to Richard South during this run.
Well, because he'd already sort of done that with SMS.
Oh, yes, he had too, hadn't he?
So he couldn't really do it this time.
Yeah, he couldn't really do it again. I'd forgotten about the run with SMS he had. But I thought this was a great match. Big meaty men slapping meat. I think both of them held up their end of the bargain so well. They did such great work against each other. I don't know how often they've wrestled, but you'd think it had been a few times because they seem to have a bit of a sixth sense on how to move and where to be and all the intricacies of wrestling that we don't look for but really make a match great.
Well, I know that Ricky has worked a few slams. I don't know if he's worked against Mikey at those slams. So it would make sense that they have worked together somewhere down the line there because they've both been around for a long time. So I would imagine that they've probably stepped in the ring eventually with each other before.
Oh, I'm almost positive. From there, we had Ryan Rapid defeating Mick Moretti. What did you think of this one?
I don't know what the plans are with Mick, if Mick was staying around or if Mick is sticking around in MCW. But if he is sticking around sort of long term, I think maybe it was a little too early for Rapid to get that win. if they're moving him on, if he's like just moving on to somewhere else, then like Rapid, of course, had to get that win. The win itself, I feel like it came out of nowhere. Like there was no real big build up to the finish. It was just sort of like bang, it happened. Oh shit, okay, holy hell.
Yeah, but I didn't mind that.
Because I don't mind it, but it just
anyone can, that 3 count can come from anywhere.
Yeah.
I like Ryan Rapid. I think Ryan Rapid's a great wrestler and a great act. I'm glad he's Ryan Rapid. Instead of
that was the other thing too. Like
whatever.
There was no real sort of like development or transformation between like Snap and then Ryan Rapid. It was sort of like he was Snap this month, he leaves, he's just back to being normal Ryan Rapid again. Do you know what I mean? Whereas like
I think they could have done a video. Like that would have just been easily explained in a video.
Yeah, exactly.
But what they teased later, I do like. Look, I really enjoyed this match. It wasn't very long. It was a shorter match. But I thought that Moretti was clearly there to put Rapid over. Like,
oh yeah, he's but that's why I say like if he's meant to be there for a little bit longer, then maybe it was a little too soon for him to. Maybe Mick could have got the real cheaty win on Ryan Rapid, as if to go like, yeah, I told you I'm smarter than you. You're not going to get me, mate. You know what I mean, sort of thing. And then, but like again, you don't know what's happening behind the scenes. Maybe Mick's not available for the next couple of shows or whatever. Yeah.
Well, they don't have another show till September, which is quite a wait for MCW because this year they've been running regularly every 6 or so weeks. But we'll come to that when we talk about upcoming shows. I really like this. I really like Rapid. Like I've always thought Rapid's an excellent worker, and in fact, when the few times I have seen him and he's been in the makeup, I've gone, "Hey, Ryan," and he's just gone, "Hey, Jeff."
Yeah. It's that thing where when they first did that, formed that whole thing. Remember, I was just like, "Why have Ryan there? He's too good for that. He's already a good character." This is
clearly the payoff. They're clearly. Like, he's going to be back to being Ryan Rapid. Whether he's a face or a heel, who knows? I also really, really am glad that if this is the result of the clowns, I didn't like the clowns. I still don't like the clowns, but I'm happy that Ryan Rapid's got a spot in the company.
Yes.
If that makes sense. We move on to the icons. Adam Brooks, Jarvis, Rocky Monero.
No, the icons with Jarvis.
With Jarvis, sorry. The icons with Jarvis. Adam Brooks, Rocky Monero, and Slex with Jarvis. Being defeated by DQ by Caveman Arg, Stevie, and Tom Philippe, and Tommy Knight. This was a great piece of entertaining shit. It really was. I didn't like the ending much, to be honest, between you and I, but I enjoyed the match.
Love the match. Hated the finish.
I did too.
Like you could get a cheap roll-up victory on one of the Philippes.
Yeah.
You could have got like somebody hit with a belt. You've got enough of those fucking belts sitting there. Somebody could have got hit with one.
Yeah, I agree.
The blatant DQ. And I know it's a way of getting heat and all that, but it's just one of those things. I thought it was like a fart in a church. It was a great match, but then this happened. Do you know what I mean?
Look, I think also that Jarvis would have lost nothing by taking that pin. He would have lost absolutely nothing because he opened the second bracket anyway. You know what I mean? Like he came out at the beginning of the second half and got booed. So he would have lost nothing by eating a pin there.
Yeah, but like if it was me booking and no one's going to give me the pencil for MCW, but if it was, I would have had the icons going over by like hitting someone with a belt, a slider, showing their teamwork.
Yeah,
because there's one thing that they haven't actually done is show their sneaky teamwork. Yeah. It's always been like through power, through like just Rocky saying, "No, change it." Not actual the fact that they can be a little bit sneaky and get away with some shit as well. So
I agree with you.
That's
no
why
argument.
Great match, but
the match
shitty ending.
I mean, you've got these 8 people there. It's not going to be disappointing. Everyone's going to hold their own end up. Oh, by the way, sorry, if you missed the beginning of the show, if you're wondering where Lachlan is, I joked about kids earlier. It's not that. He's training for a match against Edward Dusk. We're making it happen. All right.
Also, we also at the end of this match, the Pariah.
Yes, the Pariah returned at the end of this match. Looking great. Looking really, really good and announcing themselves for the Ballroom Brawl. We then had a little bit of a short break, and we came back with the MCW Women's Title #1 contendership match because sadly Erica Reed was unable to compete. Jarvis had Cherry in the ring. Now, I'm a little bit confused about this. If you don't mind, I'll just make my comments on this one first. And bringing out Kingsley, who was definitely a heel, and I much prefer this character as a heel than I do as a babyface. As a babyface, doesn't inspire. As a heel, fantastic. Last month, Cherry looked to be a heel. Cherry was working heel, looked to be a heel, and I was like, this is fantastic. Let's see what Cherry's like as a heel. And they kind of seemed to pull that back, whether it was intentional or not, whether they were aware that some of the audience thought Cherry was a heel, even in the building, to pull it back, I actually think is a bit of a shame. I thought this match was fine. I don't like that Cherry was going to have the match against Erica and now Kingsley is the #1 contender because it almost echoes what's going on with Ugg and Tommy. I'd rather that they have some clarification, at least on this one. But the match itself was fine, and I really like Kingsley more as a heel. I really do in this character. Todd, what did you think? Now that I've
well, I think that they've obviously brought Kingsley in because her and Cherry have worked together a lot, so there's a comfortability there, and you're going to get a decent match out of it with those two. I agree completely with you. Like, if they were going to go with Cherry, go with Cherry as a heel, then bring in somebody as a babyface. I would. Sorry, something popped up. I'm just looking there. So Nick Galea just says, I much prefer the Backslide Girls character as evil, but I would still much rather Cherry in this match, as there seemed to be more a Brody May story. Yeah, that's exactly right, Nick.
You nailed it.
You nailed it. Like, if you were going to do this with Cherry, like they sort of like, I think she got caught in the last match having to be the heel because you've got Erica and you got Delta, and those two were always going to get cheered because that they're just like Erica is loved by the MCW crowd. Delta's loved by everybody. It's sort of like, what the hell was Cherry going to do but be the third person that's liked? So she obviously went that certain way, which you and I watched and other people watched and thought, that's not bad. I don't mind that sort of like tact from Cherry. Maybe that was just something that had to happen on that night, and now that they've gone, or maybe this is something where like this has happened to Cherry, and now they're going to feed into the Mick Moretti thing where Mick's like,
I hope so.
And Mick might tempt her to go to the dark side a bit more, which is also good character development, because you can't really, if you think about it, if you want Cherry to be the quote unquote big bad, you don't want to feed it to Erica straight away.
No.
So let's feed Kingsley to her. Let's feed Kingsley to her, and then maybe after the match when Erica beats Kingsley goes to do a cheap shot. Cherry comes in and instead of helping Erica, hits Erica and turns on her, developing more of the heel thing, and then Erica has a reason to want to get Cherry in that ring. So and that's me fantasy booking shit.
My only question about Nick's comment, but I think this is also them trying to tie in Cherry to Joker and the Thief, like in PWA, is Cherry going to be a clown? Joking. Let's move on.
No, the thing about that is the only thing that's like them trying to do that is that they haven't really tied Jimmy into it yet in MCW.
No, they haven't. Last time Jimmy was at MCW, he was a bit more of the wandering vagabond character he was for about a year. And that I didn't really connect with the MCW crowd at all.
No.
We then come to the Ballroom Brawl match. You ready to do your little dance again? Here we go. Yeah. Ricky South defeats Barry O'Leary, Carlo Cannon, Delta, Edward Dusk, Eamon Asman, Fox, Fox. No, I think they mean
Big Rig.
Big Rig Phil. Funtime Phil.
Yeah.
Jake Taylor, Jarvis, Jesse Lambert, Mikey Broderick, Mitch Waterman, Ryan Rapid, Shen, Stevie Philippe, the Tuckman, and Tomb Philippe.
Also missed out on the Pariah there too. The Pariah were in
and the Pariah. They're not in the list, but the Pariah were there as well. Todd, what did you think of this?
Like I mentioned it before, I thought this was better than the PWA Rumble. Nothing against the PWA Rumble. I just felt this was a bit better paced. Everybody got their moment to shine. My criticism for the PWA Rumble was, like I said to you, like when people came in, they didn't really get there was a couple of times there where people really didn't get their moment to shine when they came in. Everybody got a moment to shine in their thing. This was really well booked like that. Jake Taylor looked great. I'm so glad I've got him coming up for Wide Bay because I can't wait to see him work now.
I will say
really good.
Jake. I will say this about Jake: he is an absolute easy bloke to work with. Lovely fella. You'll have a good time with Jake.
But there wasn't anyone in this that really looked like they were just filling a spot. Like everyone had if I wanted to single someone out, like Shen, probably the only one that I would have looked and said, this guy's here to fill a spot, but he's there for a reason to introduce him further to this crowd and to get a bit more like thing. I loved the Goldberg Tuckman entrance.
Oh, it was brilliant, wasn't it?
So yeah, the thing is, they mustn't been able to have worked it out because I got told by one of the bookers that Tuckman was going to do his entrance from the tap house.
Yeah, they probably couldn't have worked it out.
They must have been able to work it out because, like, when he told me that, I was like, oh, far out. That's going to be amazing watching him walk all the way from the tap house into the Thornbury, up those stairs, into the ring. Yeah. But yeah, still, the way they did it was great.
I thought it worked. What did you think of Ricky being the winner?
Very left field.
Yeah.
It was one that I was shocked at because I was at White Bay Pro at the time. And somebody came up to me and told me that Ricky South had won the thing. And I was like, gee, I didn't even know he was on the show because I'd forgot. I hadn't really seen a lot of the announcements for it. So I was like, holy shit, okay. They must be going somewhere with this. I don't know where, but I'm interested to see.
I think, I love the choice. Big fan of Ricky. I think that they should have introduced him last month. Just given him a match. Yeah. Just to give the crowd a bit of familiarity with him.
Who he
because
is,
he was last at MCW, I think they said 2022. 2 years is a long time in wrestling. And crowds forget. So just bring him back a show earlier. That's the only.
He's also a very different Ricky 2 years ago too.
Yeah, I think he was the babyface. I think he came in or he was just a heel. He'd only just turned. There was a lot to like in this. Carlo and Emin, keep them as a tag team. Definitely keep them as a tag team. I love their work together in this. And Jesse going up and slapping Carlo had me laughing so hard. As a comedy character, Jesse Lambert is one of the best in Australia. There are a few things I noticed that I really like. I like Shen and O'Leary tying up together really quickly because they've worked together so much. In one of the pre-show matches that where they check that everything's working, one of the first shows I saw back at MCW after a bit of a break was O'Leary against Shen in the dark match, and O'Leary got picked up straight away, and Shen has been kind of in a bit of no man's land for a while. So I really like that they connected the two of them, and they're probably going to go ahead. I also really like Rapid and Waterman sort of teeing off.
Yeah. That's a match I wouldn't mind seeing down the line. But it's a bit weird. It's a bit hard because I think Rapid's going to be a babyface.
Yeah.
But it's also a match that would be good on a mid-card for that show.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Rapid and Waterman are both babyfaces, but they actually fought each other a couple of months ago when Rapid was still Snap or Crackle.
That's what we did too. Yes. I forgot all about that. Yes.
But I'd like to see that continue. You're right, Jake Taylor looks amazing. I really, really like Delta in this. She worked perfectly, but I would have had her go out second last and then eliminated Dusk.
Yeah.
Because the crowd would have gone, we've still got Dusk. Oh, no, we don't. Boo. Boo.
But then,
Nick Galea,
do
said
you
it all
think...
here, mate. Ricky is great, obviously, but I was a little on it. It felt like the expectation, he's a PWA guy, so of course everyone must know him. Absolutely, I think that was the expectation. People have got to remember that a lot of wrestling fans only watch one company.
Yeah,
they really do.
Do you think though that if they'd have done it the way you wanted it to, like have Delta out second last and third last, do you think they would have taken too much air out of the building and then they might have been able to rebuild it back for Dusk and South for that finishing sequence?
Yeah, you could be right. You could be right. But either way, I really, really like this. I thought this was terrific.
I think it was weird having, say, the two baby faces against the heel as the final three.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a bit jinky. Like if anything I would have had, like if you were going to do like if you wanted anything for Ricky to go on with, you would have had someone like or Ricky or Dusk either. You had someone that like throw Dusk out that you would want Dusk to go on with. So maybe it will be Ricky. Like he will go on with Ricky fighting like will. Forward. But it's going to be interesting to see what's going on. Like there's a lot of heel on top in the sort of like, I don't want to say the men's division because it's not really the men's division, but the main card of that is very much like Ricky South is the heel and he's got the Ballroom Brawl, so he's got the guaranteed shot whenever he wants. You've got like the champions who are like Slex is the champion, Brocky and Brooksy are the champions. Then now you've got Robbie Thorpe as the only babyface that's a champion is Erica at the moment.
Yeah.
And like with Ricky South being the one who's got the shot any time, it's not like they've got a babyface in the waiting now.
No.
Because they don't in that area. So it's going to be very interesting going forward what they do.
I think they need to make sure that Jesse's around a bit more, simply put, because he's got that underdog babyface appeal and he nails it. I think people will love that. Rapid's obviously a face. They can make Jake Taylor a face easily because he's actually really likable. And if they feud him against Robbie, that's gold. So there are enough faces. I mean, what you do with Carlo and Emin is unknown, but I'd prefer to see them as heels personally.
It looked to me like Carlo was trying to like bring Emin over to the dark side when I watched that.
It didn't take a lot of convincing. Let me tell you.
No. Honestly, if this was my book, I'd be turning Barry O'Leary face as well.
Yeah,
because I think Barry's got a big future as a babyface. He's a good-looking kid. Could play the underdog, I think, really, really well. Yes.
On a side note, I love that he came out at number 13. Brilliant.
Yes. Because remember we talked about it the month before that I said I think he should have come out last.
Yeah.
Because if he's lucky, then that's where you should come out. You should be just lucky enough to grab the last fucking thing. But 13, if you can't have the last pick, 13 is just as good.
13 is perfect. 13 is perfect. I enjoyed this overall, as I said, but and it's nothing against Ricky as a worker. It's nothing against anyone. But I just thought that Ricky was a bit too much from left field, and the crowd were a bit. And I wasn't there. I did watch it live, but the crowd were a bit flatlined because of it. They were a bit sort of, what? Who? Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah. The good thing is though that it's a thing that you might be like, oh, okay, fair enough. But the more that they see Ricky work, the more it's going to be like, okay, that was a good decision. The guy can fucking.
But the story starts now, if you know what I mean. Like the story of who the example is starts now. Nick says, I assume that Ugg is still having a shot at Slex, he'll be the guy to beat the Icons, and they'll go back to Ugg versus Ricky's history. Maybe. But
do you want to see that again, though? Yeah,
I think it's
do you want
to
to see that again, though?
You could run it once, but I don't think. Yeah, I don't think Ugg's taking that belt off Slex. I don't think
it almost felt to me like they were going to do like Tommy. Tommy was going to be the guy to take it off Slex. But then, like, when they had Tommy and Ugg, they've sort of looked at it and gone, geez, the crowd like Ugg a lot more than they like Tommy. Maybe we just do Ugg from now on. I don't know. Like, again.
I don't know either. I think they've called Tommy a little bit. Like, they seem to have almost called him off.
But
I don't know.
See.
We'll see.
Overall, 2 really, really strong Aussie wrestling shows over the weekend. I think very, very good fucking shows. Like, all of them, the undercard before the Rumbles delivered. Like, over-delivered somewhat when it comes to expectations of matches. And, again, slight edge, I think, for Ballroom Brawl, just because I enjoyed the Rumble more.
See, I'm giving the slight edge to PWA because I enjoyed Jess and Delta so much. But there you go. Tim Wilkes brings up a good point. He said it's mid-year, so heels will be on top till the end of the year. I don't know. I think the Icons thing is going to be around for a fair while. I don't think we're going to see the end of that in December, but I think that's a very good point.
Beetle Bailey asks... Sorry. Beetle Bailey asks, top run by heels, is there a time limit? How long is too long? It's very much a feel.
See these fingers I've got up here? There's 4 of them. The greatest wrestling stable of all time are the 4 Horsemen. And they were on top.
That's a feel thing. Like, it's honestly a feel thing. Like, you know, if you've been watching or involved in wrestling for long enough, you can tell when the crowd is ready. And you like the guys that are the booking MCW, they are smart enough to be able to read that and go, okay, they're ready, or they're not quite ready yet. It's like an angle or a thing is sort of like it's a microcosm to a match. You know, when we talk about matches and we talk about when guys like call it out there, when they can feel the crowd be ready for that comeback. It's the same thing, but in an angle sense. Like through the shows, you can tell when a crowd is ready for that babyface comeback. So you start booking accordingly to that. Like, oh shit, I didn't think they were going to be ready this early. They're ready this early. We should maybe pull the trigger here.
See, but booking a wrestling show and doing stand-up are very similar. They really are, because you've got to have the ebb and flow. That's exactly the same. So booking a match, sorry, not a show, but a match and probably an angle. I think that heels on top are fine, but you've got to know when is enough. And you made the point that a wrestling booker knows when someone's ready and will put them in. Yeah,
a good wrestling booker.
Unless your name's Tony Khan, in which case, 6 months later is fine.
He's a matchmaker. He's a matchmaker. He's not a booker.
Nick said, and Delta's farewell after the show went off air was great. May she make a shit ton of money and be a big fucking star. Mate, I almost guarantee that. Like, wherever she ends up, and we want excellence, but she'll just be fine. She'll just be fine. Aussie news. Let's do some Aussie news before we go to a break. Are we going to a break, Todd, after the Aussie news?
Yeah, we're going to go to a break, mate. I've got 5 minutes lined up so you can go to the toilet and whatnot.
And get another cup of tea and do the thing. All right, EPW Evolution is on 22nd of June at the Point in Merriwa. This is a huge match. EPW Championship, Jesse Lambert versus Marcus Pitt versus Radmaker Kingston. EPW Tag Championship, a Tornado Tag. The Hit Squad against Morleone and Target. We did talk about that at length when we reviewed the last EPW show. Check that out in our archives on Spotify and wherever you get your podcasts from. The Coastal Championship, Bruno Nitro versus Rogan Kargas versus Jay Taylor.
Or Jay Taylor.
And
they haven't actually revealed which one, because if you remember, it was a double pin.
Or Jay Taylor. Yes. It was a double pin.
Yeah. So we'll find out on the night, I guess.
I'm sorry. The Pen 3, Solomon Blackwell versus Davis Storm, shut up and take my money. Damian Slater and Dustin Connors versus James Hartness and Tyler Jacobs, shut up and take my money version 2. The Invitational Tournament group stage matches, Elijah Henry versus Hayden Zenith versus Great George versus Chadwick Jackson. Tickets are available now from ebwperth.com and will be selling quite well. So if you're planning on going, get them soon. Renegades
it's
of Wrestling.
on Saturday, so you might want to get them soon.
Yeah, it's on this Saturday, so you want to make your way there pretty quick. It's 2 nights away. And if you're listening to this on Friday morning, good luck getting them. Renegades of Wrestling. Now, of note, Renegades show, which I'm assuming we're going to look at next week, drops on YouTube tomorrow night.
Yes.
Make sure you have a look at it. It's headlined by a TLC match between Ugg and Emin, or if you're Lachlan, it's Egg and Amin. So that'll be great. We're really looking forward to that. Their next show is on Sunday, 28th of July. Well, not many great matches announced yet. Fuck off. Gino against Hendricks in a cage match. Here's everything I own. I'm so looking forward to that. Shoot that into my veins. It's going to be a lot of fun. Stream Horizon also has Bret Hart's Australian Stampede and Mickey James presents Her. They're the shows we saw in April, as well as the Bret Hart. I
think that's on this Sunday. That gets dropped this Sunday. Yeah. Which was good. I was actually at that. It was a really good panel. So
if you don't want to drop things, make sure you come to us on a Thursday where we can. Thank you very much. Thank you. I know Lachlan, but I thought that was fine.
Lachlan somewhere just sat up and went. Somebody just did a segue.
His spidey sense is tingling.
Yeah.
Come to Twitch TV /Wrestle Radio Australia. Have a look at us on all of your podcast distribution networks, Google or Spotify, or just look us up. Wrestle Radio, WRA.com.au. We're there. We have a website. And while you're looking at doing that and giving us a 5-star review, because that gets us in more people's ears, we are going to go to a break. And Todd, take it away.
Okay, we'll be back right after this.
Saturday, the 15th of June. Legends will be born. Rivalries will reach their boiling point, and champions will rise to immortality. We gather for the pinnacle of Australian wrestling excellence, the most anticipated event in the MCW calendar. This is the extravaganza known as Ballroom Brawl. Mick Moretti, once a revered mentor, now stands exposed as a tyrant. His abusive ways have driven Ryan Rapid to break free and forge his own path. Rapid, no longer the eager student, now stands as an opponent, fueled by a thirst for retribution and respect. The Thornbury Theatre came unglued when Erica Reid shocked the world and became MCW Women's Champion. But one person who wasn't prepared to shed a tear or join in the applause was Cherry Stevens. Can a new attitude and a one-on-one confrontation be what Cherry needs to get the job done? Or will the Wiradjuri Warrior prove this champion is here to stay? At the conclusion of High Stakes, Robbie Thorpe took one for the team and found himself at the mercy of Delta. Loyal soldiers get taken care of in the ranks of the Icons, so Thorpe has been gifted a shot at the Inter-Commonwealth champion. While the Icons have been running roughshod on MCW, using a numbers game to their advantage, they didn't realise their actions could unite their enemies into a powerful force. This will be an 8-man tag of epic proportions, with all the competitors combining for over 20 MCW championship reigns. It's the Icons versus Caveman Ugg, Tommy Knight, and the Natural Classics. All this and more at MCW Ballroom Brawl. Since 2012, the Ballroom Brawl has been a must-watch event in Australian wrestling. Let's take a closer look at it with the Ballroom Breakdown. From Adam Brooks to Zhang Wen, we have seen 106 individual competitors try to win the big one, with Ballroom Brawl attracting a who's who of big names. Speaking of Adam Brooks, he has the most combined eliminations over the years, sending 15 participants packing. Jonah Rock holds the near untouchable record of most eliminations in a single brawl, tossing out 10 opponents on his way to winning the match, cashing in, and winning the title all in one night. Over the years, we have seen 8 competitors eliminate themselves, including Jarvis, to escape Delta's wrath. The 3-time MCW World Champion is an icon of the Ballroom Brawl. At 103 minutes, Slex has spent more time competing in brawls than anyone, averaging over 20 minutes per appearance. Despite his name, Lucky O'Leary is not so lucky, with his one brawl appearance lasting less than 1 minute. But what has been the biggest OMG moment in Ballroom Brawl history? Was it Buddy Matthews' surprise return and victory in 2022? Maybe Mitch Waterman's breakout victory on his way to the world title? Or maybe you're like me and remember when Edwin Lane Mania ran wild in 2013. Whoever makes their moment tonight will have history on their side, with 8 of the 11 winners going on to win the MCW Championship. It's luck of the draw, and whoever wants it more, it's the 2024 Ballroom Brawl.
Yes, guys. I know we didn't mention it. We probably forgot to mention it during the review of PWA and of MCW. PWA is up on Triller Plus. If you've got a Triller Plus thing, you can watch the PWA King of the Metro. And Ballroom Brawl is up on Stream Horizon. I think it's $9.99 or something like that, or $4.99. Yeah. I can't remember what it was. It was one or the other. But well worth the price of admission for those two shows. Really, really good. Good Australian. Once again, like, we're in the golden age of Australian wrestling, I think, at the moment.
We absolutely are.
Like, absolute crackers coming out left, right, and center. I know that Riot City have got one coming up really soon too. With, I think it's the main event is Delta and Hater against Brady and Basso. So that's going to be amazing as well. So it's so much good stuff. Like this weekend, Jesse Lambert, Marcus Pitt, and Radmaker Kingston is the main event, with an undercard of like Solomon Blackwell and James Davis Storm in the pen. Another, like, they're kicking goals left, right, and center here in Australian wrestling at the moment.
It is absolutely fantastic to see this and acknowledge how good wrestling is in this country. And it's not just isolated in one city anymore.
No.
You know, I was in Canberra for a few years a while back, and I wish Slam had been there when I was there, because it is really, really strong stuff.
Yeah. I mean, let's like, not like calling a spade, like wrestling in Canberra before Slam was there was fucking average.
Oh, yeah.
So they've brought that in, and the fact that they've done what they've done in, I think, 2 years?
Yeah. 2 years since
is
Slam's
amazing. It's amazing what they've done in 2 years. Amazing.
I should do the thing, shouldn't I? I should
do
this. Yeah. Welcome back to Wrestle Radio Australia, the longest running Australian wrestling podcast. I am your host, not Lachlan Albert, and here
That's better.
is Todd Eastman. Let's move on to some international news. That was just for you, Lachlan, because I knew that would give you the shits. And again, don't forget to watch those shows where you can. So make sure you hunt down PWA on Triller, and you hunt down MCW on Stream Horizon. You will not.
Yeah, Stream. Just quickly before we go on, like Stream Horizon is pretty cool. Pretty cool. The only drawback is like it's hard to watch on your TV because at the moment it's just the website. So it's like unless you've got. Go on, Jeff. What were you going to say?
Yeah, I had a couple of issues with staggering, but I think that was more the popularity of the stream than anything else.
Yeah.
So I paused it for 10 seconds and then watched it with a 10-second delay, and there was no issue at all.
Yeah, I guess I think it's more me being spoiled at the moment that like I've just got Triller on Apple and on my TV, and so I can just watch stuff like that. So having to go, oh, shit, you mean I got to get my laptop and then just stream it to. But it's a thing. I mean, at the moment, they've on Stream Horizon, they've got like MCW. They'll have all the OPW stuff. They've also got MLW as well. So a lot of the MLW full pay-per-view shows are on there as well. So yeah, get around Stream Horizon because it's not a bad little app or website.
We then move on to some international news. Well, let's look at Clash at the Castle because we've got time. We've only gone an hour, and I think it was a great show. We opened with Cody Rhodes defeating AJ Styles in an I Quit match that I thought was tremendous. Todd.
Yeah, really good. Really good. It was a bit of a almost an anticlimax, the way he said I quit. A bit of an anticlimax, but I mean, I don't know how else you were going to do it. Like, I really thought they were going to play into like Cody's mum a bit more than what they did. They kind of... Yeah, I really thought that was going to happen, but, you know, it was still good. It was a really good match. Like, Cody bled early. Just, like, he definitely took his licks. He definitely took his licks for that match because AJ beat the level-loving shit out of him for a good part of this match.
Yeah, he gave as good as he got. Like, let's be honest. He gave receipts in that match. And I mean, like, neither of them were ultra stiff on each other, but they just wrestled a hard match against each other.
Yeah.
Which is
but the biggest heel of that whole show was the top rope.
It was a pain. It was terrible.
So yeah.
Terrible.
But no, it was a really, really good opener. Really good it was like I think Cage Match said it was like half an hour. It didn't feel like half an hour. It felt quicker than that. But just like some brutal stuff going on in that match.
At this point, I want to mention this show had 5 matches and it never slowed. It never got dull. And I love that. I love that they're booking economically. I thought this was terrific. You always kind of knew that Cody was going to keep the belt. Whether he loses it to Gunther at SummerSlam is unknown, but you knew that he was going to keep the belt. He's going to keep that till SummerSlam. And he might beat Gunther. No, Gunther's going after Priest. He might beat whoever he's facing at SummerSlam. That's sort of still a bit up in the air. But I thought this was great.
Even the post match with the Bloodline.
Yeah.
And then Orton giving that sort of like almost tease where he looked at that belt for that little too long.
Looking at the belt, doing a bit of a Tommaso Ciampa, you know?
Yeah. So maybe that's a SummerSlam program.
Have I got any money left after I said shut up and take it? I know what I really liked about this match is that it had a logic to it. And I Quit matches can sometimes be a little dull, but this had a real logic to it. And yeah, I loved it. We then move on to the WWE Women's Tag Team Triple Threat match. The Unholy Union, Alba Fire and Isla Dawn defeated Bianca Belair, Jade Cargill, and Shayna Baszler and Zoe Stark. Look, this match, and it wasn't just the top rope, but this match was very botchy, which is a shame.
Yeah, it was.
Which is a shame because they are all good workers.
Yeah. But it's like I said, like I think I said that I thought that the titles were coming off Belair and Cargill. That's why it was a 3-way because they could do it without pinning them, which was it was their like they weren't going to give Piper the title, they weren't going to give Drew the title. They gave him one Scottish champions. They gave him like, do you know what I mean? They gave him.
It was beautiful. It really was a nice moment. It really was. Right, this is not going to make me popular, but I'm not sure I like Jade Cargill.
You weren't popular before.
Yeah, well, you know what I mean. I'm more popular than you are, but that's not too much.
Yeah, but I aim for that.
You are.
There's a difference.
Please come and see my show. No, look, I'm not sure I like Jade Cargill at the moment. I think they need to take her off TV. I really do, and it's nothing against her. I think she's got it all, but she just, yeah.
No.
She looked, wow. You didn't like that so much, you turned the light off on me.
The Undertaker came in. I thought I was getting attacked by the Six.
I think she's really good and got it there, but she just needs a polish. And maybe that was part of the idea of taking the belt off her and, maybe put her on some live shows. It's clear that she's working well with Bianca, but it just didn't come out well. Saying that, I thought the title change was great. I think Alba Fire and Isla Dawn offer a lot. And they're both really talented. I'm a big fan of Kaylee Ray's. So yeah, I thought this worked as much as it could.
Whether they meant to or not, they also gave that sort of opening with Jade like sort of tapping out during that match as well, which gives like Shayna and Zoe a way to go. We want to challenge for those tag titles. We think we won those things. She tapped.
Yeah.
So and the way they did it too, they did it so like, which was different to every other triple threat tag I've ever seen, where three workers were in the ring at the same time all the time. When normally it was like a traditional tag team rules where like you had to be tagged in to do something. This was different. It was like three were in the whole time, which was good. Like it was good, but I think that was designed to try to hide some of like the faults of some of the people that didn't really work, unfortunately.
I think it was. Look, I think this was as good as it could be. Zoe and Shayna are so good and so good together. Zoe Stark has come along incredibly in a relatively short space of time. They're really smart with who they're putting her with. Have you noticed that? They put her with Trish, and now they put her with Shayna. Two workers that can accentuate her strengths really easily. Big fan of hers and a big fan of Shayna and Zoe as a team. I want Shayna to hold gold. That's a simple point. She's approaching 40. She's probably not going to get a single run. And that's a shame.
I'd really like her to win one of the like maybe Bayley's title, because I don't want to I think stay away from Rhea and Liv, because I think I'm growing more into like that more and more as the weeks progress, just the way the story's going. But like Bayley, like I wouldn't have been upset if Bayley had dropped this belt to Piper, to be honest with you.
No, neither would I, but we'll come to that in just a moment. But I did think this was good. We then move on to the Intercontinental title match. Sami Zayn defeating Chad Gable with Maxine Dupree and Otis, but not for long, in 22 and a bit minutes. What did you think of this one, mate?
Sami Zayn is the biggest heel in WWE. I don't care what you say about Cody. I don't give a shit. No, like it was a really, really good match, but I think everybody wanted Gable to win. But it's still there's still stuff going on here with this.
I think there's a lot.
Which doesn't need the belt. The you know how like, and I fully admit when I changed my tact, when I changed my mind on things. For the longest time, I like Sammy needs to drop that belt. I think Gable should have that belt to be able to do some stuff to what he wants to do. The way this is going, I don't think Gable needs that belt at the moment. Like he could do this whole thing with Otis and maybe bring the Creeds and all that without having that belt. Whereas Sammy doesn't have anything to go on with after this.
I agree.
So let's leave Sammy with it for a little while, and when Gable's done his whole thing with Otis and that, then like refocus and go after Zayn again.
I have a theory.
What is your theory?
Gable's going to win Money in the Bank this year.
Not Jay, because everything's behind Jey Uso.
I think it's going to be Gable. I think it's going to be Gable. I think it's going to be fantastic. I think it's.
Gable, here's a good question though: is Gable even going to qualify for Money in the Bank? Because he died this week.
He was shot in the head.
He died this week, so.
Well, we don't know. We have to suppose that was just. He's like the knight in Monty Python and the Holy Grail. It's just a flesh wound.
Just a flesh wound.
But I thought this match was so good. You're not going to get a bad match with these two competitors. I love the little storyline bit. Maxine's doing a great job selling that injury. Like, I'm beginning to see her as Rickety Cricket from Always Sunny, where, it just gets worse and worse every week. You're clear. Are you familiar with Always Sunny? Because
yes.
Yeah. Okay. So that kind of thing. But I am really, really enjoying this breakup. A bit more happened on Monday. I think they're done, but I think that Otis is going to come out and beat the shit out of Gable. I think something's going to happen to trigger Otis coming out and beating the shit out of Gable. Because
there's got to be some more happening.
Yeah,
the push isn't going to be it.
No, there's got to be more. It's really interesting. I'm liking Chad as a heel again, and I didn't think I'd say that
was,
either.
Yeah, and I read somewhere this week, I think it was, that like it was during the same interview where Chad sort of broke the news that he has re-signed. So he's re-signed kind of, but it was also his idea to go heel.
Yes, it was. I read the same thing.
Yeah, so that which is it's good to hear. It's good to hear that they're listening to the ideas of these guys and go, okay, you really want to do this? Let's go with it and see how it goes. And I think he's better as a heel.
I think he works
because he can be more ruthless. He can be more.
Well, he can portray having short man syndrome in the land of the giants. So I think that. No, well, look, I'm a big personality and a little body, really, myself. So I know, like, Gable's only, I think it's 3 inches taller than me. He's not that much taller than me. He's 5'10". In Vince's WWE, he would not be getting the opportunities he's getting now.
No, Vince's WWE was fucking Shorty G.
Yeah, there you go. He's an inch shorter than Daniel Bryan, so go figure. But I think he's fantastic. Then we have the WWE Women's Title match: Bayley defeating hometown girl Piper Niven with Chelsea Green, or is it Los Chelseos? I don't know.
Yeah,
it was hilarious in this match. Look, this was a nice, silly, fun match with a foregone conclusion. I did not think Bayley was going to lose the title, but I kind of wanted to, because Piper.
I did pop for Wade Barrett's Super Gran reference. For people of my age that came home with ABC in the afternoon, Super Gran was a thing.
You're not that much older than me. I remember Super Gran. Do
you remember Metal Mickey?
Yes, of course I remember Metal Mickey. Of course I remember them. Trapdoor, Metal Mickey. I remember them both.
Yeah.
Don't worry.
Join us for more talk about British sitcoms from the 80s.
So then we've got what did you think?
Let's talk the match. The match was a good. It was a good match, and like I said, I wouldn't have been upset if Piper had beaten Bayley for the belt. I know it was too soon because Bayley's literally only just won at the Mania, but it would have been a huge pop for that crowd. But another thing too, though, it's sort of like, and I think I read somewhere that Hunter was just like, well, this now gives me the opportunity to put Piper in bigger matches more because she's been introduced.
Yeah.
She's not just Chelsea's big hench person.
No.
She's Piper fucking Niven. Do you know what I mean? She's a great worker.
Very talented lady.
I would prefer her to Nia Jax because she's safer.
Yeah,
and
me too.
I think Nia's great, safer.
But Piper's safer, and Piper's also got something about her that makes her really watchable. She relayed a nice story that apparently she went up to Hunter and she had this long speech prepared, and he goes, "You'll be here to talk to me about Clash at the Castle." She goes, "Yeah, I think." He goes, "We're working on it." And she's just left.
Yeah, I read that somewhere too.
It was really funny.
So,
look,
I really like the fact because she's got the Scottish accent and the Scottish accent that she has, it's like it's scared. I'll do you, laddie. That's enough to like. It doesn't like she's got that like. I know that like Drew's got the accent. It's a little bit more lilty than what hers is, Hers is that real, like the thicker Glaswegian sort of like, you.
I think he comes from Kirkcaldy and she comes from Glasgow.
She's
She's
air. She's
a
air.
working class.
Yeah.
A working class background. So, yeah. Look, I thought this match was great. I think they're both such good workers. And Chelsea Green is spectacular in her role. So good. So good. They're so good at what they do, they might be faces. Like, that's the risk with Chelsea. She's so good at it that you might find
Chelsea's
yourself crowds.
Chelsea's that one that she can lose every week and keep her heat, which is hard to do.
Well, there's someone in Australia who can do that by the name of Jarvis. Really. We then move on to the World Heavyweight title match. Damien Priest defeating Drew McIntyre after a ref bump, and then another ref came in, counted 2, and gestured that the shoulder was up. The camera pivoted it around, and what a brilliant piece of production this was, and revealed it to be CM Punk. I mean, I think everyone suspected it was CM Punk. What a great piece of production. What did you think of this?
Yeah, I remember watching it going, what fucking referee wears Jordans? And then it's just like, just turns around like, oh, of course. I mean, there was always going to be a reason he was there.
Yeah.
It was, it was a really good match. It was a really good match. And like, it obviously fed into, they're doing something with it because Drew quit.
Yeah.
On Monday Night Raw, which was good. And they did the thing where, and it fed into what happened on Raw where Triple H sort of like, they did it so they could show what backstage looked like.
Yeah.
And they had the talk. But then I reckon Drew went with, like, Triple H went with Drew. So that was him written out of the show for that.
Yeah.
For that last piece, which was good as well. It's going to be interesting where they go with this whole Drew and Punk and quitting thing and all that gimmick. Maybe it won't be like that now. Because I something like after the, on the press conference, I think it was a press conference, I remember reading somewhere, the Punk was just like, it doesn't matter when it happens, every time he has a title shot, I'm going to ruin it. I'm going to make sure he never wins another title in his career. So if that's enough to make like Drew just go, oh, I quit, and then when Punk's about to win something, have Drew come out and ruin it.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's absolutely going to happen. I think it's immoral that it's going to happen. Apparently they're feeling that with 6 new people, there needs to be a bit of a shuffle. And so I would be very surprised if Drew doesn't wind up on SmackDown as a result of all of this. Because he didn't say he's quitting WWE. He just says he quits.
I don't think, because they're not going to do that. And like, he might show up at SmackDown because Punk's there. But I don't think he's going to be on SmackDown permanently. I just don't. Because the 6 that they added does not make up a Drew McIntyre.
Yeah. Yeah, oh, no, there'll be more shuffling. There'll be more shuffling, in my opinion. Anyway, what did you think of the match?
It was really good. Like, these 2 guys can work their asses off. And just, like, Priest could work his ass off with someone who didn't know how to work. Like, he worked that match, that Backlash with Bad Bunny. Yeah. And it was an amazing match. And like a newsflash, it wasn't Bad Bunny being awesome. It was Priest making him look awesome. He did.
He did hold up his end of the deal.
But let's face it, it was Damien Priest who carried the water.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Damien Priest carried that match so much. I'm glad Priest is okay. Apparently it was a bit of an injury, but he'll be able to...
Yeah, the slip on the ropes and... The
promos and stuff. There are a few people who said it was a planned spot. Drew was incredible for those few minutes. He was so good. And then when he's so clever, because when he goes, I've got to get him in the ring to pin him and win the title, that was a great way to spin him back around and make sure that he was safe. I was so impressed with that. I was so impressed with that. This match was terrific. Big surprise. As you say, 2 fantastic workers. This was 2 bigger blokes just going hammer and tong. Punishment Martinez, Damien Priest, whatever you want to call him. When I first saw him in Ring of Honor, I went, wow, this guy's got talent. And I wondered for about 3 years why they hadn't picked him up. And I was so happy that they did. And he is great as a heel. He is great as a face. He has a unique nature on the mic. Just brilliant. Just brilliant. And as Tim Wilkes has said, at the same time that McIntyre was being a heel, he was helping Priest get out of an awkward situation with his foot. He was actually working a bit more babyface, but yeah, you're quite right. All up, what did you think of Clash at the Castle?
Really, really good. Really, I think I had the disadvantage of not watching it all in one shot, because I watched the first half as we were, or just after I came home, so I watched it very much like almost pretty much live. But then I watched half of it and fell asleep, and then I watched the second half waking up the next day. But just some cracking matches. Like if we're gonna be like really throwing stones, the only bad match on that card was the women's tag title.
Yeah,
and it wasn't a bad match; it just wasn't a good match.
Yeah, it wasn't. It wasn't.
Everything else was. Yeah, it wasn't good. Like everything else was gonna like, and no offense to Cody, AJ, Priest, McIntyre, everything was gonna battle Zayn and Gable, because those two guys were coming out to try and steal that show.
And they did, in my opinion. I just want to. I also want to mention, it would be remiss of me not to mention that if you go to mcwtix.com, tickets for Vendetta are available now. I did forget to mention that earlier, so I apologize. Grab them, snap them up, because they're going to move quick as well. MCW have a hot hand at the moment. I thought this show was great. I agree with you. I think everything was terrific, but Sami Zayn versus Chad Gable was just that level above. They are, without a doubt, two of the finest in the world at the moment. You know, so that was a really good show. Let's move on to some WWE news, shall we? Well, obviously, as we mentioned, Drew McIntyre quit on Monday Night Raw, threw the mic down and left in disgust, which I thought was quite interesting. I'm interested to see where this goes. I also, one thing of note is that Wade Barrett started complaining loudly about CM Punk's involvement in the match. So it might be time for some bad news.
I looked at that. You know how they showed the footage afterwards of Drew complaining and then Barrett with him yelling and stuff. I was like, you know what? Barrett would make a really good manager for Drew.
Yes, he would. Yes, he would.
But
manager and occasional
on one hand, that's really good. On the other hand, I kind of really like him and Graves on SmackDown. I think they're a great commentary team.
I think this is a way to get him to wrestle an occasional match. That's just a way to get him to wrestle an occasional match.
I wouldn't mind seeing Graves wrestle on an occasional match. He's cleared now, so he could if he wanted to. Yeah.
Oh, I wouldn't mind seeing that either. He's a good wrestler. So yeah, that's of note. Seth Rollins returned on Monday and cut a promo, which means his wife is probably, got a couple more months, and then we might see her through the door.
Her, like, if you haven't followed her on X, please follow her on X. Some of her posts at the moment have been amazing. Have you seen the one where she posted like how there's I can't remember where it's from, but it's like the Latino guy like standing like waiting in different places, like in front of an empty pool. She like recreated those photos because like just putting off that she's bored shitless at the moment at home. So it's some really like her Twitter game at the moment is really, really good.
Well, Todd, you know this. You've heard the uncut interview with Becky, and you know how funny that was. I mean, the one that was slightly edited, and you didn't miss much, folks. But the one that was slightly edited was hilarious anyway. But the uncut one is just so funny. The interview. I was lucky enough to interview Becky and Seth. What do you think of this? Damian Priest against Seth Rollins.
Yeah, like the way they explained it, it was sort of like it's Damien's again slow babyface turn. It's a slow burn babyface turn. Like he's getting more and more, and like I'd like to see maybe a Finn like Priest, but I want to see a real Finn Priest thing, not Finn in his current state.
Yeah,
I would like to see him like it looks like they're slowly pivoting to like Dom and JD as a tag a bit more, which is good. I don't mind that as a tag thing, and that way freeing Finn up to be a bit more of a singles guy. And so, like, if you can build Finn back up to being the prince, and then have the prince turn on his brother, Priest, then that's a good match.
That's a very good
match. You could say
that's a very good match. I wouldn't mind seeing Finn with a belt. To be honest, I want I think this match will be great. Priest against Rollins will be fantastic. I think that you're right. Priest is absolutely very, very firmly becoming a face. We'll skip the next thing because I think we should come back to it at the end of the WWE news because we'll have a bit of a chat about it. But some more TNA stars have made their mark on NXT. NXT opened with the fabulous Joe Hendry making his NXT debut, cutting a promo saying he would take the NXT title back to TNA. However, for this Rumble Battle Royal for the number one contender, he was one of the first eliminated by none other than fellow TNA star Frankie Kazarian, who made it to the final four before being eliminated by the eventual winner, Javon Evans. With the win, Evans then challenged Ethan Page. And Ethan defeated Evans. So...
yeah, but Evans has got the title shot at the moment. Evans got the title shot
for Trick Williams at Heatwave on July 7, and I expect it will be a three-way with Ethan Page poking his head in the door. Also, of real note, and this is so exciting, AJ Styles is returning to Japan during a Noah event in Yokohama on Sunday. WWE star AJ Styles appeared via video and announced he would be at Noah's Budokan event on July 13th to face Naomichi Marufuji. And you can bet that this is oh, you looked impressed with that. This is not going to be isolated. We're going to see more crossover with Noah, and we're going to see a lot more WWE stars in Noah. And I, for one, I'm all there for it. And I think this match is great.
I also saw a report where, and I forgot to finish writing that with the thing, that WWE actually looking for partners in Mexico as well. So they're really starting to, instead of like just wanting to take over places, they want to just like partner with places.
Isn't that great? Oh, that's lovely.
But we quickly went over the Joe Hendry thing. Joe Hendry was over huge in TNA. That entrance was massive for TNA.
NXT.
And in NXT. I saw a lot of these like people on X and their instant thing is like, they threw him out straight away. You're not getting it. They gave him promo time. They eliminated him straight away, but they gave him promo time. They gave him his own entrance. Then afterwards, they did something for the internet with him and Shawn Michaels. That's shining up a guy without actually having him have to wrestle. Like now, they've given it so like if anyone mentions his name, that music could hit now. They gave him his proper Joe Hendry entrance. They gave him everything.
Wasn't it great?
Which is perfect. And if you're a Queensland wrestling fan too, look at Joe Hendry and then look at Yeet Stevens.
Oh my God, yeah. There's definitely
I know. I kept walking around, I was walking around Wide Bay Pro all like Saturday night going, I believe in Yeet Stevens, which really hurt because we had a match against him later on that night. Do you think I could get that out of my head while the match was on?
My opinion with the Hendry thing is they were putting their foot in the pool and they got the reaction they wanted. So then they shot the thing with Michaels going, this is going to be great. This guy is gold. I'm so excited for Joe Hendry. I think it's a terrific spot for him to be in. Finally, there was a debut on this new group. Holy shit, that was great. The Wyatt Sicks group, consisting of Bo Dallas's Uncle Howdy, Dexter Loomis, Joe Gacy, Eric Rowan, and Nikki Cross, made their debut at the end of Raw. Todd, goodness, this was great, wasn't it? How electrifying was this?
It was amazing. It was like we talked about off air. It was all in one shot as well. One camera, no cuts. Everything was moving like that. It was an amazing way to debut people. The thing with before I talk about the upside and how good I think it is, it's always been this thing with the Wyatt things, like the entrances are great and the openings are great and the starts are great. It's when the bell rings that they've always been an issue. So we'll see what happens with that. But at the moment, the way they did it was really, really good. And there's one thing I noticed, and I'll talk about it in a minute, but you go on. What were your thoughts?
I'm just going to counter one thing you said there. Nikki Cross is a tremendous worker, like an absolutely fantastic worker and a great character person. If you look at everything she's done in WWE, from Sanity right through to being who I presume is Sister Abigail, right through to being Sister Abigail, she has nailed every fucking character. They wanted to put on clothes that are way too revealing and personally a little bit uncomfortable as Nikki almost a superhero, and she was great at it. She's $1 million and really good in the ring. Bo Dallas is underrated in the ring. A very, very good worker. He's got a lot of his dad's characteristics like that. The others, Loomis personally, I can take or leave him. Joe Gacy's got an upside, and I think Eric Rowan is very good. And I like the touch of Eric Rowan carrying the Bludgeon Brothers hammer. That was beautiful. That really touched me. And I said to myself, if the final words of this show is "we're here" and then a lantern's going to be blown out, I'm probably going to burst into tears. And I did. And it was just a perfect debut. I'm not sure who they're going to go after first. I have a feeling it's going to be Jey Uso. Because Jey stole the Fireflies.
Yeah. But did you see his promo afterwards? With him, they can have him back. I don't want him part of it. He can have those Fireflies. They're his now. I'm fine with it. I don't want any part of that family.
I think...
Okay, I will say to you, did you see the people that were attacked backstage and were lying down?
Gable?
Yes.
Who else? I did, but...
There was Gable. There was dude from Imperium. What's his name?
Kaiser. Yeah.
And there was Strowman. What have those three people recently done to their partners or their friends or their family?
Oh, yeah, they've abandoned them. That's true.
There's a thread there. That's exactly what it was.
That's really good. That's a good point. I mean, this is the kind of thing, and I know this is going to sound really weird, and this might be a reference that some people don't get, but it's almost a Zapruder film in that you'll watch it over and over and over and pick up little bits and pieces as you're watching it. Zapruder's the gentleman who filmed JFK being shot, and people have watched that footage thousands of times.
Back and to the left.
I think that this is similar in that people will examine this for every little message and every little thing. I thought it was so good. And heck, it's great that Eric Rowan's got a job in a world where he's lost two people who he was probably, we know he was close to Luke Harper. We see that. And we know he was close to Bray Wyatt. We see that. And so it's really nice that he's got a regular job now. I hope that they back this entrance up, they back this debut up with good in-ring work and good storytelling. Apparently,
I think next week they should have a fleet of security all around Raw. Raw is in under fucking siege. We're not having that happen this week, and just have this is the way it should be. They should. I'm hoping that they address it on SmackDown. I'm hoping that they I'm surprised they didn't somewhat address it on NXT. Because it should be that we don't know what's going to happen. We don't know where they're going to attack next. They could be attacking here on SmackDown. They could be. We just don't know.
Yeah. Well, they didn't. Well, who knows? But Fightful have reported the group has already been acknowledged on WWE programming by Jey Uso, as you said, which they're told, even though the group isn't likely to interact with every program on Raw, it's expected within the company that the ramifications will be widespread across various programs. Excuse me. With a domino effect on stories that are happening up and down the show. Those we spoke to said that the wide array of talent and people attacked in the story and the characters who left before the show were calculated, planned, and designed for specific reasons. So this is going to be a storyline that goes on for a while. I think they see this almost like a bloodline, a judgment day. They see it as something that can run through a few things. And I'm here for it. I think if they're smart, and so far they have been, we're in good shape.
I just hope they lean more towards cult and less towards spooky. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't need supernatural. Give me, like, Manson-y.
Yeah, I think they're going to... I think it's going to be a mix of both, basically. I would rather they avoid the hokey shit in ring, though. If you're going to do spooky before a match. But don't paint yourself up in ultraviolet colours, because to have that as Bray's last major match is such a shame. Really
that's the thing. Like, do you remember when we were talking about it when Bray was around and he was doing his matches? I was always like, I think Bray is amazing with all this other stuff. I think he gets too in his head in the matches, and that's where he loses it.
Yep.
I'm just hoping that this isn't the same case where they just go, okay, you're going to be like amazingly spooky and all this shit, but when it comes to a match, you can do your little Kane or Undertaker no selling type shit, because that's cool. Like it's going to work a little bit for this group, but at the end of the day, you aren't supernatural, and like there's not going to be worms on the mat.
Yeah, I mean,
onto the mat. There's not going to be. Do you know what I mean? Like that shit. I hope got left with Bray. God
I mean, you don't like to say it, but I agree with you completely. There's not going to be oversized hammers, aside from the one that the bunny carries.
Yeah, but that's like they should be. And the biggest problem I've had with, because I've been thinking about this a bit this week, the biggest problem I had with Bray is that they never fed him underneath baby faces before they had him take on the big baby face. It's always like, Bray is coming here, I'm taking on Cena. Bray is like, the Fiend is back, I'm taking on Seth Rollins or Randy Orton, or do you know what I mean? There was never the.
Well, no, because Bray's first opponent was Kane, so they did. But the biggest problem with Bray originally is Bray should have beaten Cena at 30. Cena should have absolutely lost that match. There is no...
Like, I'm talking Bray before Bray went... When Bray was doing the Wyatt family, that was really good. When Bray went like supernatural, that's when it went... Like, they never, like, fed him little baby faces to kill first before going to the big guy.
Yeah.
It was always like, I'm here, I'm back, blah, blah, blah. John Cena, I'm back. Seth Rollins, I'm back. Randy Orton. It was never like... underneath guy, like, let's say Rey Mysterio, never like blah blah. Do you know what I mean? So like, I've destroyed this guy. The only one that can stand in my way is from taking over WWE is John Cena. Do you know? It was never that. It was always like, straight away, John Cena. Fuck. I want to see the other stuff. Build him up more.
And interestingly, Taylor Rotundo, Bo Dallas, he was a huge, like, he was in Bray's ear about the horror stuff. So, like, don't think that this is just a coincidence. I also think that with the new bookers, as opposed to the old bookers, they are more likely to get better and higher quality stuff done. Because let's be honest, the older booker didn't care. That's the truth, in my opinion. Like, could be wrong, but I don't think I think over the last decade, he increasingly gave up and stopped giving a shit. Shall we move on? Let's look at the AEW Forbidden Doors current lineup. Strap yourselves in. AEW World Championship, Swerve Strickland defends against William Ospreay. The ladder match for the vacant TNT Championship. Konosuke Keshita versus Mark Briscoe versus Dante Martin. Title for title. Mercedes Moné, TBS champion Mercedes Moné, against NJPW Strong Women's champion Stephanie Vaquer. AEW Women's champion and battle for Mariah's love, Toni Storm against Mina Shirakawa. John Moxley defends his IWGP World Heavyweight Championship against Tetsuya Naito. Yeah, that's had a lot of build. Owen Hart Foundation Men's Tournament quarterfinal. Bryan Danielson against Shingo Takagi. That's going to be great. MJF is facing Hechicero. Zack Sabre Jr. Hechicero, sorry. Zack Sabre Jr. against Orange Cassidy. And this all happens on June 30th. So it'll be July 1 here, June 30th in the US. What do you think of this, Todd? There's going to be another 15 matches at it.
Because I think Jeff Cobb has still got these open challenge for the IWGP TV title as well.
Yeah.
Which hasn't been answered that I know of as of yet, anyway. This is no shot at Hechicero as well as a worker or anything, but sort of a step down after you've had him first Roosh on like Dynamite. Like he beat Roosh and Dynamite, and then they said, okay, you've got Hechicero at fucking Forbidden Door. And no offense, like I've seen Hechicero work once. It was a really, really good match, but it was against Rey Fenix.
Yeah, and you're not going to get a shit match, right?
So yeah, I don't know. Again, same as everything. It's a great card. I mean, you look at fucking like Takeshita, Briscoe, and Martin. And there's another name missing out of that too. Fucking old mate, Scapegoat.
Oh right,
Perry.
Yeah.
He's in that ladder match. But let's look at this ladder match. Okay, you've got Takeshita, ROH champion Mark Briscoe, like Scapegoat, one of the elite, Jack Perry, and Dante Martin.
Well, we know who's probably
one of these things are not like the other. One of these.
You know who's going to take the belt, but Dante Martin's there to be the freaky athlete and do the high spots where you're going, fuck, I wish he wouldn't do that. Why does he keep doing that?
Yeah, but you know what? They've got 1,000 people on the roster that can do that as well.
Got 1,010 actually, mate.
And why pick the guy that constantly gets injured?
Yeah,
to be in that spot.
I don't. There's 2 or 3 matches in here I really like, and there's a bunch. No, there's a bunch. Like I don't care about the TNT Championship. I don't.
But it's a vacant belt, so like they've got to do it. Like they had to do it.
I don't. Yeah. Tony Storm against Mina Shirakawa. That'll be great. Bryan Danielson against Shingo Takagi. There is no way that is going to be a bad match. That is going to be fucking incredible. And Zack Sabre Jr. against Orange Cassidy, the same. But really, I'm finding it hard to care about these things. I've been saying that for weeks about AEW. Make me care. Make me be invested. Yeah. I believe today's Dynamite was excellent. I believe it was a really good show.
I haven't actually watched it yet, but yeah. Like top to bottom, we always say, great matchmaker. He's a great matchmaker. He makes some great fucking matches. Just the feeling going into him isn't there.
Yeah.
It's like simple as that. It's like
there is
I could care less. And there's nothing against Zack Sabre Jr. Sorry, I could care less about him and Orange Cassidy on that show.
Yeah,
Hechicero and fucking MJF. I could care less about those two on this show. If anything, fucking dump Cassidy, dump Hechicero. Give me Zack Sabre Jr. like targeting MJF.
Yeah.
Like, give me that. That's a match that could be good. Yeah, that's a good fucking match. Naito and Moxley will be great. And the interesting thing about that is that normally your IWGP champion is named in the G1. Moxley hasn't been named in this year's G1. There's only been a couple of occasions where, like, the champion has not been in the G1 tournament, because normally that sets up challengers through that tournament. When you lose a match in that tournament, the challenger, like, I've beaten him, so I'll get a title shot out of that. So that's interesting. So
that's coming soon, the G1. So expect me to be bleary-eyed for a few weeks, fellas.
Yes. So there is an outside chance that Naito could beat Moxley for that. A very outside chance. So, but I don't see anything else changing, to be honest with you. I think Monet is going to beat Vakua.
Yeah, I think so too.
I think Tony Storm either wins this or Mariah turns on her and Mina to win the title.
Oh, by the way, there was a segment with Saraya. Go away, Saraya. Really. Just horrible. Just for a start, she's had I don't judge what she chooses to do, but the plastic surgery is ridiculous on someone so young.
But she's a game changer. She's a needle mover. She's
yeah, right. Yeah, look, it is what it is. They'll probably announce another 30 matches between now and go time anyway.
Yeah. Well, how many matches are there so far? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There's 8 matches so far.
That's
so
enough.
You've got a good another 3 or 4 to go.
Stop now. It makes it hard to care. It really does. But we've got some AEW news anyway. The brackets for this year's Owen Hart Foundation tournaments have been revealed on Wednesday. AEW revealed those brackets. That is today, essentially.
Yes.
On a
I haven't got the women's bracket. I couldn't find it, unfortunately. Sorry.
They did reveal the brackets for both men's and women's tournaments, but we haven't got the women's at the moment. The men's tournament will feature, listen to this lineup. This is fantastic. Claudia Castagnoli taking on Park, and I believe that was an excellent match. Bryan Danielson obviously facing Shingo at Forbidden Door. Ray Phoenix versus Jay White. Holy shit. And Jeff Jarrett facing an unannounced wild card pick.
One of these things are not like the other. One of these things are not the same.
You're not reading the room, Todd. I'm saying it again. Lachlan is not here. Just no, I don't want, if he shows up this week on Rampage to face Jeff Jarrett, wouldn't be surprised.
That's a good kind of idea. But seriously, you got Claudia Castagnoli, Pac, Danielson, Takagi, Ray Phoenix, Jay White, and Jeff fucking Jarrett. One of these things are not like the fucking other. There is 1,000 people, and he has 199 people signed. Yep. There's probably 190 people that would be better than Jeff Jarrett in that spot.
Yeah, I mean Jarrett's great, but no, I don't want to see him in a spot like that unless it is like a Wardlow who's just going to destroy him in 30 seconds. You know what I mean? Unless it's Luchasaurus or Killswitch. Who's just going to,
I can't think of anyone who's not signed that they could just debut.
No. In all seriousness, neither can I. I mean, who knows? Who knows? It could be anyone. Speaking of could be anyone, Kevin Kelly says he plans to take legal action against AEW. Kelly departed the company in March after having been with them since June 2023. He says he was fired after going public on X about his grievances with Ian Riccaboni, making disparaging comments about him and his frustrations with AEW's handling of the situation. On a recent episode of Wise Choices, Eric Bischoff asked Kevin Kelly if he planned to sue AEW, and Kelly said yes, of course. This is it was actually
a very interesting interview. If you get a chance, listen to or watch the Wise Choices episode with Kevin Kelly. It was very interesting because he actually lays out everything that happened. And Eric didn't really go into it straight away. He's not like, welcome to the show. Tell me about TNA. He didn't really they went a fair while before they went into the episode. But the way Kevin explains a lot of things is just like, well, that's pretty fucking shit. I think Lachlan used it as his chicken shit last show.
Yeah.
About it. So
apparently he and Riccaboni have kind of mended fences a little bit, I read somewhere, but they're still not the friends they were because they worked together for a lot of years in Ring of Honor.
Riccaboni seems like a bit of a dick. No offense.
He does. I think this is just really, really sad. I really do. And I hope that Kevin Kelly is okay because mental health, we've said it before, we'll say it again. We keep saying it. It's where the money for our merch goes. It doesn't come to us. It goes to Gotcha for Life. It goes to Beyond Blue. We are doing everything we can to make to highlight people's mental health, not just men, but women, but everybody. Everybody should have good, healthy relationships and good, healthy mental health. It's something I'm really, really insistent about. So I just hope Kevin Kelly's all right. That was a bit of a rant. And you know what else is a bit of a rant? Our chicken shit every week, where we talk about stuff that we are incredibly angry about. Todd, you know what I'm going to be talking about in a minute.
Yeah, go ahead. Just go ahead. Just take it.
Is it your chicken shit as well? Is it a...
Well, it can be because I can't think of what I was going to say off the top of my head. So just go yours.
Right. I'm putting this as. How delicately should I put it, or just fuck it?
Just the views expressed here are those of Jessetti, and not necessarily those of Wrestle Radio Australia and its subsidiaries.
Right.
I.e., don't sue me.
I am trying to be calm. Right. It was announced the other day that Brainbuster Wrestling is doing a show. That's fine. Good. Another wrestling company. I mean, the market's a bit flooded. It's in Melbourne. That until you realise it's Joel Bateman. Joel was the man behind, but Joel was behind Deathmatch Down Under. And the issues that were inherent with Deathmatch Down Under still probably exist. In that there are still possibly fans waiting for money. I do not know. That is largely unknown, but we can speculate. At the moment, it is being framed as a one-off. I don't think it's a one-off. I think this is going to be a repeated thing, and I have huge issues.
You don't set up a whole social media thing, a Facebook page. You don't do that unless you're planning to do it more than once.
This is extremely problematic because there are no indications that Joel actually learned lessons from his previous behavior. And what we want is wrestling in this country to excel. You mentioned a few weeks ago, we've gone on for a few weeks about Future Wrestling Australia and how we wish they could be better. And they've got great people in there, and they deserve to have more people watch them. Brainbuster Wrestling deserves nothing but contempt. And it's getting it. If you're a worker, good luck if you're working for this lot. And Joel Bateman, you should be ashamed of yourself. And if you try and call me tomorrow, I don't want to know. I don't want to hear it.
There are people like, I know, because I've heard from people like, oh, I didn't know it was him. Like people that have like agreed to the show. Like, I didn't know it was him when it was starting. I think, well, do you know what? There is a way you can go, sorry, I don't want to be on the show now. You just do that. It's not that hard to say, nah, I don't want to do it. That's fine. There are places that are starting up that are going to be good. Like, I know Andy Quinn is starting up a Fed. And by the looks of it, he's doing everything the right way, which is great.
He announced Lucky O'Leary. It's on November 2 on the Saturday afternoon-ish. I know that Welchie and the boys from Turnbuckle are doing a podcast afterwards, a live podcast after the show. Nick said quite right, even if it's not a problem Fed, which I won't judge either way yet. My word, not yours, Nick. It's another Fed using the exact same guys as 3 other Feds in the Melbourne area. And that's quite true. That's quite true.
He's like, because I want to...
You almost said
I want to...
Go ahead.
Yeah, I really did. I stopped myself. Because I shut up. Where was I? I just wanted to make sure that I quote myself right here. I wrote the more time. I did this yesterday on Wrestle Radio Australia's Twitter. The more time passes, the more I think there should be some sort of application of approval process for a promoter's license in Australian professional wrestling. Now, I saw a lot of people...
Yeah, we've lost Todd for a moment.
No, Todd, I'm still here, brother.
No, but you froze and for a bit. Do you want to reread that, please?
Yes. Okay, I will. I wrote, the more time passes, the more I think there should be some sort of application and approval process for a promoter's license in Australian professional wrestling. Now, a lot of people like in the business took that to mean that there should be a board set up of other wrestling things, and I did not mean that so much at all. Like, maybe someone in wrestling should be a part of this board, but I think this should be regulated by other people, like governmental, like sports and recreation, something along those lines to stop. Yes, Tony Shebeki wanted to do something like this.
Wanted to spearhead like let's keep people safe.
Yes.
It was more to keep people safe, more to make sure that women particularly were safe in locker rooms and things like that.
Yes, but I feel like this falls under the same entire umbrella. Like you shouldn't be able to go and like take people's money from one Fed and then just go, okay, well that Fed's dead. I'll start something else right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
You shouldn't be like, you shouldn't just like, a skunk shouldn't paint over his stripe and become a cat.
I don't know. Have you seen that Looney Tunes cartoon?
I have, and he still stunk. That's the problem.
Yeah.
He still stinks.
Yeah, you said a mouthful there, brother. Look, I have nothing against, despite everything I'm saying, I have nothing against Joel Bateman. Joel Bateman's a nice enough human being. But once bitten, twice shy is the expression, isn't it? Like, fool me once, worse fool me, I guess. You did it. You did what you did. I hope you're proud. People know that you're behind this.
Yeah. You shouldn't be allowed to do it again. No, like, no offense, but you shouldn't, like how long is it going to be before we say, I'm going to start a Brainbuster Academy?
Mm.
Give me donations for a Brainbuster Academy.
Mm.
Do you know what I mean? Like, I just, there should be, like, I just feel like that there should be some sort of, and I know that Davis Storm said he tried to do something like that back in 2007 in Perth, and it didn't get off. Like, I think he went to the Sports and Rec or something like that in Perth, and it didn't work. It didn't play out. And I know there's always going to be problems with that sort of stuff, but I just wish there was some way that like, I know in America they've got to get promoters licenses and that from boxing and that sort of thing, and like background checks and all that sort of stuff should be made. And I'm not a smart enough man to think that I know all the answers to it either. And that's the thing. I just think there should be more protections where I don't think every, like, Tom, Dick, and Harry should be able to just go and I'm going to start a wrestling fed without having background checks or. Do you know what I mean? Just I don't know if I'm explaining this correctly, if I'm explaining it right.
I know what you're saying.
But I just think there should be more safeguards. And if somebody's done something the way that they did with DMDU, they shouldn't be allowed to just like pack that in and then go and start something else.
No. I like what Nick says here. The skunk that paints itself like a cat still tries to fuck another cat. I think we're all cats in this situation.
Yeah, and like a fool in his money will always be parted. So as long as there's a fool walking around, the money mark will get found.
For
unfortunately,
sure. And he's like, let's see how long it is. But I'm just appalled. It's appalling, and it kind of makes me feel really, really like nasty. And I don't like. I think we covered this ground.
Yeah.
So much.
Yeah.
And that's not on us anymore. You know? Tim says, and fools keep booking him. No, really, they don't. That's why he's doing this, because he can't get work anywhere.
Yeah. But, you know,
but
all we can do is like, I mean, that is probably the first and last time we're going to talk about that, because I don't want to give it any air. I don't want to give it any publicity, to be honest with you, because I don't want to accidentally like help him.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's completely fair. But it's not all bad, is it, Todd? Like, we did make some chicken salad this week. I think there were some very nice things this week. What was your chicken salad, mate?
I'm really, really enjoying. There's two things. One on AEW, one in WWE. There's nothing to actually do with in-ring at the moment. It's the whole thing with like Liv and Finn and Dominic.
Todd,
yes.
Todd, where's my purple cow vest? Where's my purple cow vest?
That was so good. And especially like as he starts unzipping it, Damian Priest comes around the corner. Dom! What?
Dog.
Yeah.
And then he's so cool. The way he's just like, leave him alone. He's just a kid.
Yeah, he's just a kid. I mean, there's only so much one man can stand, though. How does he do it? He's a stronger man than I.
She's a very attractive baby. She really is.
I really enjoy that. Like, I think the whole like the Wyatt thing. That's like we don't have to talk about that and cover. Like, I think that's amazing. But like, the other thing I'm really enjoying at the moment is the whole thing with Samoa Joe, Hook, and Shibata. Because I don't need Shibata there for everything, because all they do is they use the translator thing, which is cool. So Shibata's like the cameraman. Just like the Pulp Fiction-y lead-ins to before they attack people are just fucking great. Just out of nowhere, like, where do you get the best slice? Oh, there's a place by my house. People always say there's a place by your house is good. And that's the problem with you New Yorkers that open up the door. Before there was another thing they talked about with lacrosse. What is lacrosse anyway? I like it. I like it as a way to keep Hook with good people. But a way to a different string to Samoa Joe's bow.
And Shibata as well.
And Shibata, yeah.
I think it's good because they've gotten him away from Jericho as quickly as possible. Essentially.
Yeah, get out of the vortex.
Get him out of that. I also have 2 chicken salads. My first chicken salad is the same as your first chicken salad. In the little bit of character works we're seeing from Liv Morgan and Dominic. Mysterio has been so funny in this role. Like, when she landed on him last week and they just kind of stared and he just almost swallowed guiltily. As oh shit, I've done something and Rhea's going to kill me.
Yeah.
He hadn't done anything. It's so funny. So funny. And Corey Gray, not Corey Graves, Pat McAfee's work in bringing us up to speed on the whole story was short, sharp, and really well done. I do want to mention that. Yes, the Wyatt Sicks, fantastic. That goes without saying. But the other chicken salad is a little bit more. If you saw this on WWE's Instagram today, or yesterday it might have been, they showed a video of Piper Niven and Drew McIntyre talking. And Piper said, years ago, Scotland wasn't seen as a wrestling capital. Something like this. She said, years ago, Scotland wasn't seen as a wrestling capital. And you broke the door down. And you have brought us here. And we wouldn't be here without you. And that kind of thing just really, like, that's beautiful. They don't have to show that. They're both heels. They don't need to show that.
They also showed a bit with, it was Drew showed up at ICW as well.
Yeah.
Over the weekend, which is cool.
Yeah. Which is really cool because Trips has shown up at ICW as well. But the fact that they showed that, and they showed these two people who clearly care about each other, and you know, they gave each other a hug, and it was really, really beautiful and really embracing. And it was so, like, you could see Piper was getting choked up, but then you could also see that Drew was getting choked up. So yeah, hunt that down, have a look at it. It's quite beautiful. The way she pays tribute to Drew Galloway, the person, is fantastic. Let's go through some of these. Tim Wilkes' salad is 6'6", so the Wyatt family. Alex Fireheart, and I apologize if I get some of these names wrong. Joe Shiozaki's 20th anniversary show was last night. Solid show, top to bottom. I can imagine it would have been main highlights: Fujita versus Higuchi and Yone versus Ishikawa. And the main event tag match, it's worth checking out if people have access to Wrestle Universe or otherwise to see wrestling. There's lots of ways. The other thing I want to mention is WWE Legends this week was on ECW, and it was a lot of fun. It explains why some of the things at WrestleMania we were like, oh, I don't know if that's that good. No, they were filming the special then. So it's a lot of fun. I just wish they'd have done more with characters like New Jack, because he's no longer here. He can't hurt you. Go fucking nuts. Alex says also Chris Weiss versus Akitoshi Saito for the 01 World Heavyweight Championship was good. Hope I didn't butcher those names, Alex. Great to see you here.
Yeah, this is why we have Lachlan.
This is exactly, too much else. But if you miss Lachlan, you can always follow him on the socials, like you can follow us on the socials. You can follow us at Wrestle Radio AU on most formats, including Twitter and Facebook and Instagram. You can follow Todd Eastman at The Beast Eastman. You can follow me. I'm Jeff Setti at Jeff_Setti, or my little side project of WrestleBrania at Wrestle_Brania. Don't forget to pick up your merch. Again, that doesn't go to us. That goes to Gotcha for Life and Beyond Blue, two awesome charities doing great work. Rate us on all your on platforms. Give us 5 stars. 5 stars gets us into more people's ears. And also, don't forget that we are here every Thursday at 8 o'clock. Follow us on Twitch. Give us a subscribe. Have a look at what we're doing. It's always a wild and crazy ride, especially when Lachlan's here. That is twitch.tv/WrestleRadioAU. Todd, have you got anything to add?
Yeah, I might be doing another Sunday showcase this week because I got hit up by ACW to watch a couple of their ACW shows. So I might do that and check out ACW. So join me on a Sunday afternoon. We sit down and watch a couple of shows and talk about Aussie wrestling and that. And because that is what we're here. Like the whole idea about 5 stars gets us inside more ears, helps us spread the word about Australian wrestling because it is one of the hottest products in professional wrestling in the world today. We want more people to hear about it. We want more people to see it. So please do. And Sunday afternoon sometime, keep your eyes on the socials because I'll pop up when I'll be out there watching the show. Yes, my friend.
And I'm sure if you're a board game person, Lachlan and I will be doing a board of games pretty soon in the next week or so. I just need to finalize dates with you.
At least next 6 months, at least.
Yeah, within the next year. So there's that. Next week we're going to be looking at Renegades show, God Save the Renegades. We pretty much agreed on that.
Yes.
So come back next week for more of the same. I hope your week is more chicken salad than chicken shit.
Yes.
For the Beast Eastman, I'm Jeff Setti. See you later.
Go and check EPW out if you're in Perth.
Here I was, blaming AEW for feeding you chicken shit, knowing you mindless millennials would be eating it up as if it were chicken salad, when it's really been your fault all along.
Make chicken salad out of chicken shit. People is